is Ilene Rein. I am an executive recruiter and a job search strategist with Pavement 101, and I am here today with my superstar client, Matthew Killian. Matthew, why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Matthew Killian, a very happy client of Eileen's, and I recently signed my offer letter with ANSYS AGI in Exton, Pennsylvania.
So thank you so much for doing this and congratulations on your new job. I'm so excited for you. We're going to talk a little bit about the process because you and I became connected and you started working the job. You were trying to job search on your own at first.
hmm
How was that going?
So job searching on my own, honestly, it was all the boredom of job searching, but with none of the success. So it gave me pretty much nothing great came from it. There was a few things where I was more picky with what I was applying to, and also I was trying to apply more. I wasn't using as much of a system as more kind of like a case by case thing. And I got one interview out of that, but it was with a government place, so they're a little slow with cutting back to you. So I haven't heard anything back from them since I interviewed. So it was really kind of frustrating to have. It felt like a lot of time built into it, but I wasn't actually applying as much. It was more just like it felt like each application was climbing up a hill. And then when I finished climbing up that hill, a lot of times nothing would come of it. So because I drew it out, it ended up becoming a lot more frustrating when I was doing it with my own system, if it could even be called that.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of job seekers find is that it becomes a very elongated process. And by following the methodology that I was teaching you, it's a sprint, not a marathon. So first we started with personal branding. We fixed
Mhm.
that resume so this way, and without giving any of the super secret ninja
Of
tricks.
course, of course.
Okay. We worked on that. We worked on the LinkedIn profile, even cover letters. So I gave you the full realm of how to grab that recruiter's attention. Did you see a difference based on, in comparison to your college career services center versus what I was teaching you?
Absolutely. I think, I mean, the college, for my college career in undergrad, we were required to make a LinkedIn profile in one of our
Mhm.
major required classes and required to go through our resume with the career services. But that was definitely a lot more of like a bare bones exploration of it, where they were big on saying like make it concise, make it show everything you've done, but don't try to be too verbose because people aren't going to be able to read it all. So I got some information from that, but honestly, a lot of it was just the stylizing and like the visualization that really makes it reach out and grab the person who's hiring you wasn't really there as much. And the LinkedIn profile was pretty much just make one and make sure your information's on there, make sure you have a professional photo. But a lot of the stuff I learned from you was more of the attention grabbing stuff. Without getting any of the secrets out, a lot of it comes down to just like, what are things that are going to make people keep reading your profile and keep reading your resume and keep reading your cover letter? Like, what are the things that make people want to learn about you? And there's a lot of stuff that comes down to like a psychological aspect to it, where you're tricking the brain into reading more of your resume. And I found that to be kind of an eye-opening experience where I was like, oh, is this really all I have to do? Because I mean, you say don't go with templates, but then you have your own templates, but they're not really as exacting. They're a lot more you work with each client to clearly delineate like this is how yours is going to work because I know what your strengths are. You're going to organize it this way for you. Whereas someone else might organize it slightly differently because their strengths and what they're applying for are different. So it's not like you have as much of a rigid template, but you more so have like, I know this thing works. So if you include that little thing, you're going to draw more eyes. And that I think was the biggest difference. Was the career services was more of just like a, you need to be professional. These are what we consider to be professional level resumes and professional level LinkedIn stuff that you can like show and be like, yes, I'm an adult. Yes, I can work. But with you, it was less of just keeping up with appearances and a lot more of actually trying to draw out interest from hiring managers and recruiters and whatnot.
Well, and what's interesting is the College Career Services Department, although they are very well meaning, they have that one size fits all approach because they
Exactly.
have to treat every student equally. They have to. I get that. But if you're in the open market, you can look better than everyone else. And if
Hmm.
you remember the first day of college, they said, look to your left, look to your right. One of you won't be here when you graduate. And that happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you, but the other person is your competition. And
Yeah.
that's what people are not realizing. So it's great that your friends get a job, but how about we get you the job first, then you can help the friends get a job.
Hmm.
So then we moved on to interview prep. And I prepare you based on what are the recruiters actually listening for in your responses. So it's a little bit different because I know the college career services centers give some very generic information. Did it prepare you for those job interviews?
I think the biggest bit of preparation for interviewing, I mean, I like to think I'm a pretty good interviewer. That's one of resume, not as much, but interviewing I can generally do pretty well at. But one of the biggest things that I got from your course that I watched through was honestly kind of why they ask certain questions because you've
Mm-hmm.
been on the other side of it. So you know this is the kind of question they will ask. This is why they're going to ask it and what to watch out for when you're answering. That was one of the because it's very easy to say like, oh, don't lie in your interview. That's an obvious thing and stuff like that. But there's more interesting to say like, oh, if they ask for strengths and weaknesses, you want to have that prepared and you want to have things where even if you're talking about something that was maybe a negative thing in your work history, you need to have a way to make it sound positive without you being like overtly braggadocious. You know what I mean?
And
So
the reality is 75% of all interview questions are the same. So you might as well prepare the answer before going
exactly.
in. But you got to prepare it based on what they're actually listening for. And that's
Hmm.
what's a little different. But then it was part three. Part three is what every job seeker forgets. You
Hmm.
need that strategic plan as you're attacking the job market. And a lot of people just go at it willy-nilly, okay? And they apply
Hmm.
here, they apply there, and then nothing is really gelling. And I'm looking at your statistics. We went over the statistics right before, and you had told me that you really started focusing on the job search because you were just kind of playing around with it for the first couple of weeks. But when you first started, it was in September, if I recall.
Yeah, just about.
So 8 weeks, 7 weeks until
Yeah, I mean,
landing your dream
I
job?
I had my interview with ANSYS the week prior to Thanksgiving. So it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like a 8-week sprint to Thanksgiving, and then the week after that is when I got my offer from them.
Now, and you didn't have one job offer.
Oh, yes, I was lucky. I was very lucky because, I mean, luck isn't really part of it's luck for timing's sake, but a lot of it comes from just the sheer volume of application that comes from how you draw it out, made it so that I had multiple interviews up in the air at the same time, which made it so that I ended up having two offers to choose from when I was sitting at my desk, and that honestly is invaluable because you can. I mean, in the one I was lucky enough, without going into too much detail, to use one to kind of balance out the other, and negotiate. It gives you more negotiating power if you can say, I have another offer. And even though I really want to work with this company, they might be offering me something better. And then you can make it so something more appealing to you. If I mean, a lot of times if you're just applying willy-nilly, like you said, you're not going to have a lot of stuff on your plate at once. You're going to be like, "Oh, I'm focusing on this job." And then that doesn't pan out, so you focus on this job. But if you just do everything and then take things as they come, then you can have more of an option instead of sitting there and going, "It's been 5 months and I finally have an offer. I need to get out of this house. Let me take the offer." Now there's more. I had a lot more of a this is really exciting. Yes, I'm at the end of application, but I can choose. I can make a decision about my own future instead of and yeah, it's my first job, so I would take almost anything that I could get. It was really great to have a choice.
Well, and that's the goal here. If we get the job search working on all cylinders, then you are in the driver's seat. You get to pick and choose. The goal here is to talk to as many companies as possible. So this way also you see behind the curtains into the other companies and the company culture. And then at least you have an idea of what you want, what you don't want. But by having it working on all cylinders, the interviews happen all at once, the job interviews happen all at once, the offers come in all at once, and then you can pick and choose where you want to go to work versus just an offer coming in saying, well, it's the only thing I've got. I guess I got to take it. I need to, pay rent. I need to put food on the table. I want you to land the dream job. I want big smiles on faces when everyone gets hired. So Matt, what is your position? What is it going to be?
So my official position title at ANSYS is a technical support engineer. So the ANSYS is a group that does a lot of simulation software. They're kind of a big conglomerate of a lot of over the years they've bought up a bunch of the individual software companies to build kind of a suite of engineering software. And so in Exton is the government initiatives place. So they interact a lot with government contractors, but also they develop themselves a few of the software packages. So my job there, the role is a lot of taking what our clients are using the software for, and if they have a problem or if they just need a little bit of how do we integrate this with what we're trying to do, they call us up and say, hey, this isn't working. Can you run through it with me? And then you kind of get to rub shoulders with all these industry people, and you also get to understand how all the software works. So as an aerospace engineer, I graduated with my master's about a year ago now. I was really happy about this because part of my reason I was hired is they wanted an aerospace specialist because they have some electrical engineers and they have mechanical engineers, but they want someone who knows kind of the air side, another person in the group because it's a decent sized group. So my part of my role there is to be the guy who knows about aerospace, who when they get a call, they can say, oh, Matt knows how this works. He can run you through the simulation, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. And you're going to be great at that job. They're very lucky to
I like to
have
think
you.
so.
Matt, for all the people who are watching this video, you've now been through the job searching process, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. What
Absolutely.
do you recommend for all the job seekers out there?
I mean, the biggest thing is for me, in my experience, the thing that dragged me down the most was just kind of the monotony of it all and
Yeah.
how it felt slow. And so the easiest way to combat that is just to kind of, like you say, sprint instead of marathon. You want to make sure you're always getting your feelers out there in some regard because it's probably true that every, you know, 20 job application you send out, you might not even necessarily get an interview, but hear back from like two of them that even say you've been rejected. So if you do that 20 a lot more frequently, you're going to hear back a lot more frequently, which is exactly what you want. It's what keeps you going. And there's also a thing of kind of making it a routine where every day you're like, well, I do this. And it doesn't necessarily become all you're thinking about all the time. It's more of just like I applied to this many jobs today and I can check that off my list, and then I can go about the rest of my day. Honestly, what came to me is integrating it into the rest of my life instead of making it seem like an active challenge at all times. I mean, don't get me wrong, you should always be focusing on the job search because that's what you're doing. You're looking for a job. It's your job to look for a job. But I mean, you've given me tips of just like how to make it easier, how to make it feel more like, oh, if I just do one of these every 40 minutes, then I can get 10 done in 400 minutes, which isn't that long. It's not that bad of a work day. I can deal with that.
I
So,
I I deal with the engineer and you
yeah.
and breaking it down. But you got to be set up properly in order to
Mhm.
succeed. And I find that because the resume's job is to generate calls. So if you're not set up properly, it doesn't matter how many jobs you apply to, you're not grabbing that recruiter's attention. You really have to connect the dots. And that's what a lot of people miss out on because they apply and then they don't understand why they're not hearing back.
Mhm.
So, Matt, I want to wish you congratulations, first of all, on your job. I want to wish you good luck. You're going to be fabulous. I don't want to see or hear from you for another couple of years because you're going to be doing great in your career.
Absolutely.
Okay. But when you're ready to look for that next job, we'll get you enrolled
Oh,
again.
for
We'll
sure.
find the
Oh, for
next
sure.
opportunity. But I think you're really going to enjoy this company and this job.
Me too. And I'm super excited to be at this point. I
Fan-
I legitimately don't think I would be here without the help you gave me. Or at the very
Thank you.
least, I would be here in like 6 months.
My goal is to make it shorter. It is truly my pleasure to launch your career. Thank you so much for doing this. My name is Ilene Rein. I'm an executive recruiter and a job search strategist at Pounding Pavement 101. I share the inside secrets to help you get hired. Thank you.